but I think that he doesn't want to talk about any coins except or the products that he makes because I think he doesn't want backlash from it. A lot of bad actors out there. I think that he just built the product, and then he just tells people, build from it. Just I want you to build, do your thing, pretty much.
Yeah,
Here's the blockchain, and just build from it.
no, I agree. Sorry, I just think that
Yeah,
like that maximalism probably stems from that, like as a byproduct.
correct. Because a lot of people they don't have that free thought, that open mind to kind of expand from it. They're just stuck in their ways. You can't think like that. Um, and I think that a lot of people don't want to mention pulse chain, etc., because there's so much misinformation about Richard Hart that basically they pounded in that there's automatically a negative sentiment on who he is and what he's done, for crypto. So they're scared to mention it, because they assume anything with Richard Hart will be negative or scam or anything like that. But when you actually look into, the ideology at the end of the day, it's all about the ideology, right? Um, the ideology is
You mean like
the same
FTX?
ideology that we have. I'm sorry.
I said, you mean like FTX? I'm just shit talking.
In what way? Now he hated FTX. He warned everyone about FTX. Uh, um, so he warned everyone about a lot of different projects, and I think that negative sentiment is set in there, and it's pounded in people's heads so much that even if he's proving people right that he's doing things that are positive for the community, it's always going to have that backlash no matter what. And it starts from the top. You got to understand that like there's a lot of big players out there that see a threat, so they're doing whatever it takes, and it's not even just in the crypto market. It's in the overall financial space in general, because it can be a huge threat to the overall banking system and everything else, because that's what DeFi is. So they put out all this negative sentiment, and it sticks onto people because people follow, other so-called influencers and big names in all spaces. So, like for example, when the SEC lawsuit first hit, you got all these big accounts and things like that. Like like they're going on Mario's space, and you got all these crypto guys and financial experts, etc., that are just straight bashing them, and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. So it just gives that negative sentiment, in general. But when they see what the lawsuit is, they know it's fugazi to begin with. Yeah.
And it's just another ironic thing that the people from Bankless, who brought the people from FTX on and had an interview with Sam Bankman-Fried, they're the ones that called Richard Hart the scammer, and they looked at a tweet from him and started crying. So it's just patterns like that make you think, bro, what is going on? It's
Really
clown.
cool things.
It's like he could cure cancer and there'll still be negative things about him, you know what I mean? And till something happens, um, as far as, can it get rugged with the OA? I mean, yeah, that's the only big thing. But in reality, like what can't get controlled or manipulated, so you just got to look at it that way. I like the aspect of the 90% OA being held, as far as, I would rather have one person control. Like if you go in stocks and big companies, like Apple, etc., you have all these people on a board of directors that could influence, manipulate, unless there's something else that's better. What else can be better than that concept? I don't know what it is. What do you guys think
Let,
can be
let's
better
let's
in
let's
reality?
see if let's hear from Smoking Joe and then Billy. I think they're Solana Maxis, so let's hear it.
I'm gonna go ham, so let Billy go.
Well,
I won't
honestly,
lie,
there's
Smoking Joe,
there's been a
your
lot of
account's gonna
strong
be
points.
your account's gonna be disabled tomorrow from all the post chain people that's gonna attack you. But go ahead, Billy.
There's been a lot of strong points, and I would like to aim at all of them. But honestly, I really raised my hand the first time because I want some alpha on this PDI stuff. Is this shit pegging to $1 or what? Like,
I
do I
mean,
buy some or like what?
that's what we are. I'm speculating that it's going to, and the only reason is, well, I mean, there's a bunch of reasons, honestly, but the first reason, right, was when Pulse Chain launched, right, the Pulsex DEX that everybody basically swapped their
Mm-hmm.
tokens on. So there was a few tokens on there already that had their logos like on Pulsex, right? So most tokens when you swap, there's no like logo there, right? But there
Yeah.
are for like PulseX, Pulse, Hex, WBTC, and DAI also, but PDAI, right? So PDAI had a logo and a nice, beautiful little pulse chain colored, circle around it, and so did a few others, right? That was just like the first sign, right? And then the second sign was like, Richard has been speaking about, PDI and different stable coins on Pulsechain that are going to be basically there, but he didn't know like what kind of like value that they would have in the future, right? So he's like, oh yeah, it'll kind of be up to the community, right? So like, what kind of value does the dollar have? It doesn't have a value because it only has a dollar value because we give it that value. It's not really backed by anything. So that was like the second thing, right? And then the third thing, we noticed that there was basically a wallet, right, on Pulsechain that was basically buying a fucking ton of PDI and burning it into liquidity with a different token that it was creating called the Tropa. So that was like, we're like, what the fuck? Like, why is this happening? Why is this person? And now like, there's like millions of dollars of burnt liquidity. And we're like, what? Why would somebody do this, right? So that just kind of sparked another kind of interest. Like, it seems like somebody's trying to peg PDI. But honestly, like as we've been thinking more about it and learning more about it, it seems like the whole chain is going to get pegged, right? It seems like the whole chain is coming to parity with Ethereum, right? Because all these copies are over here, and all the copies had a zero value and not much liquidity, and now all of a sudden, like there's a bunch of liquidity for a lot of these big projects that were over on Ethereum, and like WBTC, P-Link, a few others. Like they have thick liquidity pools and communities around them, and like it's really, really impressive, honestly. And it is a speculative play, right? Nobody's going to say like, yeah, for sure it's going to happen. But there's definitely things that are like happening in the background with burnt liquidity pools. And just different mechanisms that we're seeing just on the blockchain. Nobody's really even marketing these things. We're just kind of finding them.
100%. And
Okay, so
I think that if it would have died, sorry to interrupt, if it would have died, I think it would have been done already by now. I mean, it's been a few months, it's been holding strong, and it's only getting thicker and better every single day. Sorry.
okay, so you guys have confirmed what I have looked at, the little bit that I can find on PDI. And also, Richard was a very big fan of DAI itself. He never really liked Tether and or USDC. So it makes sense. So, all right, I'm taking this as financial advice. I'm buying PDI, and if it fails, then I'm coming back after all of you guys. All right,
I'm
thank you.
Yeah,
never
I just want
listening
to
to you,
identify.
Billy. I'm never
I just
listening.
want to, yo, look, I just want to identify that PWBTC said, come confirm the come tell the ETH bros why Pulse is the best. Like, bro, we're not
Woo!
ETH bros, bro.
I know, I'm just fucking.
um, and really look into what people are really doing to kind of get an idea, and that's how you can kind of sniff out the fakes. So you got to just be able to really, really do your due diligence and sniff it out. Like for example, I was in Pulse and Pulsex, and I found out about PDI, and right away, right when I started, learning about it, Coach gained me up on it. Zach helped me out a little bit on it, and you just got to have an open ear and open eye. People are so stuck on one thing; it's not good. But I feel that people really, really like Richard Hart because he gives value. So if someone gives you some value and it proves out to be facts, then they could go along with it. But you cannot worship. People have that worship mentality. You can't worship anyone, man. I really like Richard Hart just because of the knowledge and the value that he provides. He taught me a lot about crypto itself and what DeFi is, and you could hold on to that. But you got to be able to grow from that. You can't just be stuck. You got to take the knowledge, and he sparks the brain, like Pac said, spark the brain, and have someone else build off of it, man. And people just need to have that as well. And I think once again, just once after it goes after that pulse sac rate, then you'll kind of see it a little bit. But yeah, those maxis, man, it's not good. It's not healthy. You got to be able to welcome everybody, and once you welcome everybody, it just grows.
Right. You hit the fucking nail on the head with a lot of stuff, man. You get value back. So I can understand that proposition right there. It's just like I was saying, man, I just seen that thing happen on Hedera, and it's just like I feel like, look, if you got like a cross chain project, right? And they come build on Pulse and they add value to Pulse and they bring in users on, I feel like that kind of thing should be like championed and like kind of welcomed a little bit. And I just feel like if I don't know, I just feel like from the vibes these past couple of days, if a project kind of does that, the community's gonna shun them if they're not all Hex and Pulse and just what's going on in the network. And I'm just like, how do you expect more users to come in if that's the vibe in the tempo and there's like gatekeeping going on in between that shit? I don't know.
I agree, and you gotta remember, man. There's long-term controlled opposition, so there's people that are there that are going to turn years from now. Like these guys have plans for 5 years from now. The people that we're looking into right now that you think are so great, in 5 years they're gonna dump on your head. So you just gotta be aware and always be diligent and really go with your gut on certain things, because you could have people, like I said, that you're following for so long, and then all of a sudden they turn out to be scum. So you just got to watch out for that. Just look at what Pulse Chain really is. What Richard Hart says as far as freedom to transact. That's the most important thing, man. And I just go off a track record. The track record is there. When he tells you about certain scams, and they turn out to be true, it's like, wow, okay, great. Just remember that, but also be aware at the end of the day. You can't trust anyone, but trust but verify, I guess.
Absolutely.
Just want to pick your brain a little bit here. What do you see the narrative going forward for Pulse Chain? And what's your perception on just the general narrative of communities that you're observing?
So I get frustrated, and my frustration is the same thing that I've been talking about, or many of us talk about for years. Cannibalism. Cannibalism is the people that are already here, that already have familiar avatars and familiar logos, are the people we talk with. And then there's tribalism. So, if it's against the Bitcoiners, against the Ethereans, and we have our group, then, the enemy is outside. But then since Pulse Chain's basically pitch and launch, there's just basically cannibalism. So in my view, and that's only because I like and I try to support the projects that speak outside of the hard lines of this ecosystem. If they are NFT projects and their pitch is also to Ethereans and people that are on Cardano that like NFT and art, if they're going to or participating in meetups in person with other NFT enthusiasts that have nothing to do with RH or hexagon logos, then I'm all for it. Like, I'm super praised. I think that adoption means that you talk to the 9 people not here instead of the 1 person that is here. And it's the same thing when it goes to Pulse Chain itself. Like, Pulse Chain has economic energy that's sunk cost, if you want to call that sunk cost or donation or sacrifice or whatever the terminology is. But a couple of years ago, there's a lot of capital that has flowed outside to donation address or sacrifice address. And so the new money is still, it seems, inside the ecosystem. If I see founders of projects making a launch and they say, hey, we'd love you to get your support. We want to launch this thing or that thing, whatever it may be. It's a fork of something that already exists and has a history of tokenomics being successful. Can we get your support? Financial, brand, content creation. Let's do an interview. If I see a lot of that kind of stuff, that's great. I like the buzz, but I get frustrated because it's the same people talking to the same people. So I would like to see them at the events that, speculators are going to. People that, are maybe they're content creators or they make stuff over the years, about Hex ecosystem or RH products. And I would like to see the founders at Consensus, Bitcoin, Token 2049, Asia, whatever, Mind Your Biz, and other people that, talk these different product lines that are relatively blockchain agnostic. I would love to see our founders at those events. So if that's happening during this bear and into a bull, then I'm bullish. But if 6 months to 12 months from now, it's still the same people talking to the same people, then I'm bearish and I'll sell everything.
Right. So, I see. So originality and basically thinking out of the box a little bit and trying to reach a broader audience and addressing a broader audience and not is something that you hold important to overly simplify it.
We bitched 3 years ago that Richard wasn't engaging outside. What was it, like influencers? People were trying to beg him to pay for airtime or to get on a DEX, or a centralized exchange so that Hex could be traded, things like that. We complained about that stuff. A lot of people did. And then it pivoted and it made sense to say, well, you're never going to basically pay for play. It's not going to be payola in order to get the message to masses. Or to, I remember a couple of years ago, people saying, you should have a PR team so that some of these messages are filtered or more palatable or whatever it is, right? So We love the founder, but we don't like the founder. And so I would like to see the same kind of stuff happen when it comes to these products that ride on top of the chain. If Ethereum is the L1 and founders, developers, enthusiasts, and communities want to build something on Ethereum, I've seen those pitches for years, since 2017. That was the ICO boom and bust. That's the current L2 narrative, come over to Arbitrum or come over to, you have a cheaper way to transact your Ethereum products. Like, I've seen those pitches. How are they doing it, right? Is it a good model to be centralized and be VC sponsored? Well, the VCs are renting out 4,000 booths at Consensus. And I think when I went to the Austin one, there was probably about $15 million worth of hardware, equipment, booth girls, and excitement and buzz going on, right? So I don't know. These are fuck all guesses. I just like to see more than us talking to ourselves.
That's a very, very interesting perspective that you bring.
Say Pulsechain and people are throwing hate at you. That's perfect, because that means BitBoy is not in yet. Mainstream is not in yet. If this was the case, then this was actually be the signal for you to sell, to not launch on those chains. So that's why we have the biggest opportunity, because those people are not talking about us positively yet. So it is always the smart money, right? Like, that moves the price, the big players. And it doesn't matter if shit is being thrown at Richard Hart. Those smart players will come because they want to make money. So as soon as you see BitBoy coming to Pulsechain attacks, then it's already actually a negative signal, I must say. So it's like you're doing exactly the same mistake that I did a couple of years ago. I thought it's like on me or on us as a community to change the viewpoint, how the world perceives us. But that's not the case. We have the perfect product. We have a perfect community with the outreach that actually matters, like organic engagement. And this will then draw in the people. If we are making tweets and it's reaching thousands of people, well, then some of the smart players that want to come over and make money, they will come over. And later on, when the mainstream media is in, when nobody's hating Pulsechain anymore, then the top is in, I believe.
That is what we have created. And people are fading Pulsechain. We know that. They've done it for years. People hating Richard Hart. But I don't know if you were listening to Space earlier or not. We've got people from Ethereum and other chains that are randomly following myself, an anonymous person, a random dude on the internet who doesn't know anything apart from, much, but for some reason, accounts that are like 10, 20, 30, 40, 100,000 followers are following me. The same people that are telling their communities, don't build on Pulsechain, eventually, they're the ones that are going to bend the knee to Pulsechain. We know that.
That's true. They follow hypes. They like, yeah. I feel what you're saying right there.